Hello, yes, hi, welcome back. Um, so there is this thing going around. Usually, my video does not have sound, and I hope this one has sound. If not, we're gonna have an actual problem. Now you're wondering, why do I have time to make videos? Isn't school or university starting already? Yes. For me, no, because I'm a lazy person and I didn't finish my application, so I have to start late. But don't worry, everything's going fine. I'm not sick. I'm not dead. I'm not having the virus. Anyways, there's no music right now because I haven't set it up. Just a heads up, once school starts, I may not have enough time to make any videos, so my channel will be very dry and very empty or inactive for like a few days, but if do have time, I can read. Um, now, you, last time I made a doll video and it was deleted because, um, my boyfriend commented that there was no sound. So what I want to do is, even if I upload and there's no sound, I will re-record it, even though it wastes too much of my precious time. Don't know what's wrong with this mic. I might get a new one if I have enough money, but that all depends on how much money I get and, if I have enough money to buy, a new mic. I'm not sure yet. So without further ado, I was thinking, why don't I make this video without music? So I want to try, is the sound quality better with music or without music? If you hear sound in the background, my mom is listening to music and like recordings and like stuff, so it may be like, you know, really noisy. But I want to read a story called Betsy the Doll. Um, Please, there is mentions of drug addiction, uh, hallucinations, and like a lot of scary and disturbing things in the story. So just a heads up, if you're really you know, sensitive to these type of subjects, I would suggest that this video and this channel probably isn't the best for you. And you could maybe watch something else that is, wouldn't trigger anything. Um, so now that the warning's out of the way, I'm gonna read Betsy the Doll. Like most people these days, I had a fucked up childhood. Who doesn't, right? My father took off before I was born, and my mother was left to care for me on her own, a skill she was sorely lacking. My mother got right back into the drug addled party lifestyle, and she enjoyed before I was born, and had soon turned our own two-bedroom apartment into an opium den. Now, I think opium is a type of drug. For the first 5 years of my life, I walked around in a confused, terrifying mist. The smoke here would flood down the hallway from our living room and slip under my bedroom door. It always seemed to linger for days. I know now that my mother wasn't a bad person, just a victim of her addictions. When she did have spare money, she would put food in the house or buy me clothes. The only pieces of furniture I had in my bedroom was a mattress set and a blue and white toy chest. Not that I had any toys to put in it, of course. Just the three I had gotten for birthdays. One was an art kit, one was a red wagon, and the last of my pride and joy was a doll named Betsy. Betsy was my friend. We would have imaginary tea parties together, sleep together, and even take baths together. Sometimes I even remember her voice. When I thought back on my conversations with the doll in adulthood, I realized that I was likely suffering from delusions, thanks to the always present butts of smoke that laid claim to the dingy hallways and drafty bedrooms of our small apartment. Still, I remember the sound of her voice, a pleasant tingling lilt that was almost always coupled with a raucous giggle. I also remember the things that she said to me, and the things she wanted me to do. She asked me to steal usual foods or pens and pencils. She wanted me to bring her forks and knives, and hit the bad man who slept on our couch. It was always something that I would always get in trouble, but she wouldn't. When I told my mother who had put me up to these games, she would scoff and shake her head. She never believed me. Adults never do. Around my 6th birthday, I asked my mother for a birthday party. I wanted to invite the mean girls from school and serve them cake and ice cream to make them like me. I remember standing in the kitchen that day with such hopes, having just asked the most important question of my entire life. The glass bottle of Coca-Cola I held was shaking in my nervous hands. I waited with bated breath as my mother continued putting groceries away, almost as if she hadn't heard me, but I knew she had. Finally, just as I had felt a second time to muster the courage to repeat my question, she turned around and gave me a flippant shake of her head. A birthday party, Laura? That's ridiculous. I can't afford to feed 15 children that aren't even mine. Hell, I can barely afford to feed you. You eat like an elephant, especially for a girl your size. Or, I'm sorry, Betsy does. There's barely anything left for me to eat around here, much less the classroom of other people's brats. My face fell as she shook her head, mumbled something else under her breath, and stumbled off into the living room. I heard the music go up. Then, as more people walked in the door, some left, some stayed. I never knew them either way. It simply wasn't fair. My mother threw parties all the time. What about me? I was a kid. All my friends had birthday parties, and now the mean girls at school would know I was too poor to have one, and they would tease me even more. I felt tears start to well in the corner of my eyes, and I choked back a sob while I ran to my room and slammed the door behind me. Betsy was lying on the bed and smiling. She was always smiling. Usually it made me feel better, but today it just made me angry. She just kept staring at me, smiling. She was going to tell me to do something bad again. This was why my mother wouldn't throw me a birthday party. It was because of all the trouble I got into because of her. This was her fault. Betsy didn't have to go to school, and Betsy never got in trouble like I did. And in my young mind, I truly believed it was the doll, not my mother, who was to blame for everything. I snapped. I screamed in indignant rage, and I threw the bottle as hard as I could at the bed. It hit Betsy on her forehead, and she fell on the floor. Good. I picked up the bottle and I hit her again and again. I thought I heard her laugh, and I hit her harder. Then I laughed. When my rage was spent, I dragged Betsy to my toy chest and threw her in. I slammed it shut and kicked the chest against the wall. I never wanted to see Betsy again. Ever. I never owned another doll after Betsy. About a week later, the police came and two nice ladies took me to live in a new home in a new state, with foods and toys and no drugs. The trunk went into storage and the wagon disappeared. I never saw my mother again. As I got older, my foster parents admitted she was in jail during 25 years. That was fine with me. I felt nothing for her anyway. I still had nightmares because of my life with that woman. But then slowly I began to heal. I focused on doing well in school and I ignored my mother's letters from prison. She reached out to me several times in my 20s as well, but I always declined her calls. That is, until this morning. I'm 30 now with my own children and a loving, honest husband. I have a beautiful house, 2 dogs, and a career as a social worker trying to make a difference for kids who had it bad like me. I'm happy, I'm steady, and I'm content. And also, with her being a social worker, that is actually my goal. I actually really want to become a social worker. After I go to university, I want a career as a social worker. So when I got a voicemail from my mother informing me she had been paroled and she wished to speak, decided to let her say her piece. Since the kids were home from school, I went into our shed in the backyard to return my mother's call. The shed was the children's domain, and they used it to play in the summer. I sat on my old toy chest, which was currently being used as a tea party table, and dialed the number she had left me. 3 rings. Hello, Laura? Hello, Mother. How are you? Oh, Laura, thank you for speaking to me. I know you have your own life and a family. I would love to meet them someday. I just want to tell you how sorry I am for everything. Mother, you're not meeting my kids, ever. And since you called me, I'm going to what I have needed to say for years. The opium, the heroin. They destroyed you, and the worst of it is that you almost took me down with you. I was 5. That was no home for a child. Honestly, I'm surprised it took you so long to get caught. Laura, I know it's how it seems, but I honestly know nothing. Look, it hardly matters, and I do understand why you would feel that way. Why you would hate me and not want me to meet your little ones. I learned a lot about forgiveness while I was away, and just, oh, Laura, I'm so sorry about Betsy. Betsy? I paused, confused. Why would you care about her? I know, Laura, believe me, I do. It was all my fault. The drugs, the partying, Betsy. Oh God, if I had only paid attention. If I'd only known she'd gone and it's because of me. My mother began to cry. I tapped my fingers on the toy box impatiently. The drugs had clearly fried her brain. Mother, I sighed. Why are you talking about Betsy? And why do you even care? I know where Betsy is, right underneath me. What are you talking about, Laura? Oh God, where is she? I shifted uncomfortably. Well, Betsy's in the trunk, where she'd always been. There was a beat of stunning silence. What do you mean your sister's in the trunk? Sister? What the hell are you talking about? Back on drugs so soon? That's a record even for you. Betsy is a goddamn doll. I locked her in my toy box a few days before you got arrested for possession. Laura? Oh God. No, no, Laura, what have you done? I wasn't arrested because of the drugs, Laura. I was arrested because of Betsy's disappearance. You always called her your little doll, but we thought you knew. Oh God, we thought you knew, Laura. No, what have you done to my baby? My mind had gone blank, and with no motion, I set the phone down next to me and stood up. I could hear the muffled sounds of my mother's anguished cries, and I felt the dark clutch of possibility in my own chest. Memories were stirring in the back of my mind, threatening to flood forward into my consciousness. They pushed against the door in my mind that had been locked so tightly for so long that I'd forgotten it was even there. Was it even possible? Could the trauma and the opium had really led me to believe that a small child was actually a doll, begging for food and utensils to eat with, asking me to protect her from the bad man? No. I slowly turned around and brought my eyes down to the makeshift tea party table. Surely it was too small. You couldn't fit a person in there. You couldn't. But then what about a very small, starving, emaciated child? What about her? Would she fit? Would an investigator even bother looking for a person in the chest? I knew I wouldn't. It was just too small. And I was sure we had opened the toy box at some point over the years, hadn't we? Or had something swimming in the dark recesses of my memories always stopped me? I couldn't remember even ever seeing it open. I knelt down to the ground and opened the clasp. It would be better not to look. After all that I had overcome, this new life that I had earned for myself, it could all be undone by opening this toy box. I shouldn't open it. I should throw it in the landfill and forget it ever existed. I never had a doll. My mother never could afford to buy me one. I never had a wagon either, for that matter. But I did have a toy box. A pretty blue and white toy box. And when I was 5, I beat my little sister to death and put her in it. And now, my life is over. My God! Damn, I never. There's some comments. I found this on Wattpad. Hangry Hufflepuff said, "Damn, I never would have guessed that she killed her sister. I thought it was going to be some sort of Chucky situation." Oh my God. Um. So basically, what happened was, because of the opium and heroin that her mother did, I think she like breathed some in, or like it made her hallucinate. So she thought her little sister Betsy was actually a doll, and her mother was like, you know, fine. Her mother was like high, so she didn't really care. Her denied her birthday party. She said it was because Betsy told her to like steal stuff, give her forks, beat the bad man, and that's why her mother thought that she was too troublesome and didn't give her a birthday party, so she blamed it all on Betsy the doll, aka her sister. So she was so mad she grabbed the glass bottle of Coke and like started bashing her head in, and then stuffed her in the toy chest, thinking it was a doll. And then years later, after she healed and like got off the addiction and everything, she was like, impossible, like it couldn't be a child, it's a doll. And she opened the toy chest and there's her bloody corpse. As I said, I did warn you before this video that it had drugs and addiction and triggering topics that may trigger you. If you listen to this and now you're in a bad mood, do not blame me. I warned you. If it didn't trigger you and you enjoyed the story, thank you for staying till the end. Um, I will link the Wattpad uh, uh, in the description, hopefully, if I remember. If I don't, comment that, hey, Deadly, you forgot to put, um, the link. I would like it. And I will, edit the description and add the link. Um, like this video, hit the thumbs up if you like this video. Um, subscribe and click the notification bell if you want to be notified of any new uploads, since if you only subscribe, YouTube doesn't do its job. And comment down below if you have any suggestions of other stories you would like to listen to. My channel is a podcast, so you can listen to it anywhere, anytime, since there's no pictures, just my voice. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Remember, stay creepy, and I love y'all. Bye-bye. Mwah.